December 25th, 2025, Buddhadhamma, Chapter 10, 10.2 and 10.3. 10.2, Mechanisms of Human Activity. 10.3, Contrasting Aspects of Craving and Wholesome Desire. So contrasting aspects of tanha and chanta. 10.2, page 966. One doubt frequently expressed is based on the belief that people's actions must always be accompanied by desire. People act according to desire. If there were no craving or desire as a catalyst, people would not act. Surely they would remain inert, listless, and apathetic. To begin to reply to this doubt, all human actions, even the action to refrain from acting, requires some movement or activity in the mind. To be alive entails such movement and activity. Here, we can examine the mechanism functioning behind such activity. Human beings are not like leaves and branches of trees, which sway in the breeze, affected solely by external conditions. Humans act prompted by internal conditions. When the physical body is healthy and ready for activity, the mind begins to be aware of what lies in front and behind, above and below, nearby and far away, along with the surrounding locations of various objects. In short, one has an understanding of the possible avenues for movement and activity. With this initial understanding, one must decide which direction to move and how to act. The mental factor that controls or dictates this decision-making process is intention. In Pali, it's cetana. Here in this process, intention, cetana, is affected by an impetus or motivation which one can call desire. When one desires to go somewhere, obtain something, or perform an action, intention chooses to fulfill this desire. What is desire? On a basic level, desire stems from likes and dislikes. Whatever agrees with one's eyes, ear, tongue, mind, etc., one wishes to obtain and consume. Whatever is disagreeable to the senses, one wishes to escape from or get rid of. Cetana, intention, makes decisions according to these likes and dislikes. This form of desire based on preferences and aversions is referred to as tanha, craving. In sum, there are various factors involved in this activity. Knowledge. In Pali, it's called panya, intelligence, wisdom, helps to reveal and discern the various objects in one's surroundings environment. Tanha, craving, wishes to obtain or get rid of particular objects. And cetana, intention, chooses to act according to these desires. Yet there is another element in this process. Living beings possess deeper, more fundamental needs and desires when it comes to action or non-action. They wish to exist, to survive, to be safe, to be healthy and happy, to live in an optimal state. They wish to exist in a state of fulfillment. Here one may ask whether such fulfillment is found by merely relying on a knowledge of one's surrounding sense objects, a craving to either consume or evade such objects, and an intention which propels actions in accord with the whispered suggestion by this very craving. Wisdom itself will answer that this is not enough. If one encounters some food that has been made to look appetizing by adding various chemical colorants, craving will want to consume it. But if one indulges craving, it is as if one drops poison into one's food and one will suffer from obesity or some other ailment. This knowledge is insufficient and untrustworthy. It may claim to be panya, wisdom, intelligence, but in fact, it is merely an expression of not knowing. Take the example of a student. Counterfeit wisdom may say, not far from here is a place of amusement and entertainment where one can really be wild and unconstrained. Craving wishes to have fun and grab hold of this appealing prospect. It whispers, don't go off to school. Tax yourself listening to some tiring subject. It then prods intentions, which decides to skip school and engage in some form of excess or debauchery. When wisdom has been developed as true understanding, however, besides being aware of one's surroundings, one also knows how to bring about goodness, proficiency, and happiness. One knows what is beneficial, what is harmful, what to promote, and what to avoid. One has an understanding of causes and effects, knowing that specific actions will have both short-term and long-term consequences. In the case of the student, he knows that if he goes off to a place of vice and indulgence, he will only derive momentary pleasure. But in the long run, his body, his family, and his intelligence will suffer. If, on the other hand, he perceives or preserves in his studies, all aspects of his life will improve. Craving acts as the agent, hankering for this and that. While this bogus or fake wisdom only has a dim understanding of these proceedings, craving grabs hold of agreeable aspects and tells intention to seek gratification. This cycle, however, will never lead to true well-being. When wisdom appears, it knows that following the stem of craving will lead to eventual danger and affliction. The mechanism of ignorance, craving, intention is interrupted or abates. Wisdom investigates and discerns the interrelationship between things. It knows, for instance, that happiness is based on good health. It recognizes that in order to maintain good health, one should eat certain foods, exercise, set up a certain environment, maintain certain daily routines. Cultivate the mind and advocate one's time well. These things recommended by wisdom are of no interest to craving, which only seeks personal gratification, delight, ostentation, and distinction. Anything that is irritating or offensive, it wishes to escape from or eliminate. It may appear that without the enticements by craving, there is no alternative motivation force prompting intention and instigating actions suggested by one's understanding of surrounding circumstances. The functioning of life is impeded. Yet there exists an alternative motivating force. In this context, people possess another innate need or desire. In everyday life, however, sense impressions by way of five senses, by way of the eye, by way of the ear, by way of the nose, by the way of the tongue, and by way of the body, tend to stand out. When one encounters these sense impressions and feels either comfort or discomfort, delight or aversion, these feelings take precedence, leading to liking and disliking. This is the path of tanha, craving. Tanha, craving, wishes to acquire those things that are agreeable and to evade or eliminate those things that are disagreeable. Cetana, intention, then steers life in this direction. If one leads a shallow or superficial life, resembling the life of an animal, one may aimlessly follow the promptings of tanha, craving, until one's dying breath. For manuts, or human beings, however, who have the potential for excellence and distinction, tanha, craving, is not the sole motivating force. As mentioned above, we possess a more profound need or desire, namely the desire for goodness, for a healthy life, for righteousness, for true and lasting happiness, and for fulfillment and integrity. This wish does not extend only to ourselves. Whatever one encounters and engages with, one wishes for that thing to reach to the optimum state of completeness. This wish is not a detached sentiment. One also wishes to actively help bring about this fulfillment and completeness. This alternative motivation, which is inherent in everyone, is referred to in Pali language as chanta, translated as wholesome enthusiasm, wholesome desire. Here, the distinction of one's life changes course. One begins to develop the quality of one's life. Panya, wisdom, intelligence, discerns what is harmful and what is beneficial in one's surrounding, and recognizes the path to true fulfillment. Wholesome enthusiasm or wholesome desire, chanta, aspires to this fulfillment and wishes to bring about. And cetana, intention, volition, initiates the effort to move into this positive direction. When people develop themselves in this way, the cycle of avijja, ignorance, tanha, craving, and cetana, intention, is loosened or weakened. The cycle may also be referred as ignorance, craving, and unwholesome desire. Avijja, tanha, akusala, kama. It is replaced by the sequence of wisdom, wholesome desire, and intention. Panya, chanta, cetana, or wisdom, wholesome desire, and wholesome action. Panya, chanta, kusala, kama, which eventually develops into the way of life of awakening beings. When true wisdom comes to the fore, counterfeit wisdom retreats. Those things recommended by wisdom by prompting health and well-being are likely to be disagreeable in regard to craving. Craving likes to be indulged by ignorance. When wisdom appears, craving cannot sustain itself. This is where wholesome desire has an opportunity. When wisdom points out that true fulfillment is possible and that specific things are valuable for one's life and should be cultivated, wholesome enthusiasm takes over this matter from wisdom. In this, it then persuades intention to direct the necessary actions to reach each fulfillment. In sum, there are these two distinct kinds of desire, tanha and chanta, craving and wholesome enthusiasm. There is another important element to this process, the cycle of ignorance and craving. As soon as the feeling of pleasure or displeasure arises, along with the desire to obtain or consume, a sense of self appears to act as the delegate or representative. A consumer or an owner is born. This then creates the duality between such a consumer and an owner. And these are those objects, desires, and consumed. Following on from this is the arising of the sense of you, the sense of him, the sense of them, etc., who threaten, who obstruct, who compete, etc. On the deeper level, one wishes for this so-called self to be stable so that one can continue to consume things. One wishes for it to be powerful so that one is ensured of obtaining and consuming things to the greatest degree without any interference. At the same time, if one encounters unpleasant, undesirable things, one wishes to escape from or eliminate them. And if one finds the situation unendurable, one may react by desiring some form of self-annihilation. The dual process of wisdom and wholesome desire is the opposite. The desire for things to exist in the optimal state of goodness and integrity requires no sense of self or the sense to intervene. There is no need for an owner. There is no need for a consumer. There is no need for a desirer, etc. One acts simply in accord with nature. To sum it up, once again, there are two kinds of desire. Desire acting as motivating forces for people to act. Tanha, craving, the desire to consume and to acquire, the desire for self-gratification, the desire for oneness to exist or not to exist in some particular way, mainly selfish desire. And two, wholesome desire, chanta, the desire in witnessing the fulfillment and with integrity of things, the desire to help bring about such fulfillment, the desire for things to be complete in themselves. Wholesome desire includes the wish for self-fulfillment, self-integrity. For example, one wish for one's body to exist in a state of good health. In this case, one wishes for the various organs of the body to exist in their own natural state of well-being. How does this desire compare with craving for physical beauty and attractiveness? This question invites the wise inquiry from discriminating individuals.